10:05, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. In studio with me right now, candidate for Lubbock County Judge, Curtis Parrish.
Good morning.
Welcome back.
Good to be back. Thank you, Chad. Appreciate it so much. Thank you.
This is, as we talked about the first time around, this is one of the, in my opinion, one of the more interesting races in this area right now. And what, 3 weeks away from early voting?
Yeah, early voting starts February the 20th, of course, leading up to Election Day, which will be March the 6th. So it's the calendar's flipping pretty fast right now. So.
Yeah, well, when you go around and you talk to, I know we talked to before in the break that you've been going around and knocking on doors and talking to people. Obviously, those who are engaged in politics and you've done this, I've done this, where we're watching this race. Obviously, you're in this race, but is the average citizen, when you're knocking on their door, do they know that there's a big race for Lubbock County Judge? Are they interested in the race, and do they know what the position is?
Yeah, some are, and I will tell you, the vast majority of folks, and this is what we have known from the beginning, and it's really what's been kind of common for a long time. Nobody really knows what the county judge does.
Yeah.
And so our campaign has really been focusing a lot on education. Educating folks, telling them what the county judge does, the position of Lubbock County Judge, and how important that is to our county and really for our entire region. Lubbock Lubbock County is a big player within West Texas, and so the county judge represents Lubbock County. And that's one primary job that the county judge does have, is you represent Lubbock County, not just at the county level as the head of the commissioner's court, but you also represent the county to the city, to the state, to the federal government. You are the face and the voice of Lubbock County, and in pulling together the entire West Texas region together, because we know, Chad, and here in West Texas, we know that a lot of times these edicts that come out of Austin and out of Washington, D.C. really adversely affect us here in West Texas. And so we need a good, strong, powerful voice for Lubbock County. And so it's just been an educational campaign, reminding people what the job is and reminding them that, well, first of all, 75% of the job is judicial. You oversee all the probates and guardianships and mental health cases for Lubbock County. And about 25% of it is those administrative duties that we were talking about. You are the presiding officer of the commissioner's court. 4 commissioners and the judge make up the commissioner's court. You also have duties like you're the emergency management director for the county. So when we do have a disaster or we do have an emergency within our county, it's the county judge that really brings in together the first responders, the state agencies or federal help, whatever is needed to help and mitigate the disaster that we're in front of. So a lot of duties of the county judge. But the vast majority of those duties are judicial.
And let me go back to you brought up edicts coming out of Austin.
Yes.
The last time you were on the show, we talked about this almost a property tax cap, basically, that the legislature had gone back and forth on. When you were on the show, you were a little. It seemed to me you were a little hesitant on backing something like that because of as you brought up, the unfunded mandates coming from Austin.
And let me explain that a little bit, Chad. I think we were talking and we were talking about unfunded mandates a lot, and this is really a big problem for me. And I know, reading just what the governor came out with in November, that seems to be a big problem for him as well. And so, and I agree with the governor. These unfunded mandates that come out of Washington and come out of Austin really hamstrung us here locally. It hamstrings our local school boards. It hamstrings our city government. It hamstrings our county governments. And so, but I am a strong advocate of right now at 4%. In fact, that's Proposition 10 on your ballot when you go to vote, and I hope you vote for Curtis Parrish for county judge. But there are propositions also that you can weigh in on in the Republican ballot, and one of them is Proposition 10, and that is to put that 4% cap, that to lower that from about 8% down to 4%. I'm a strong advocate of that, and I think that that's prudent. I think it's good stewardship that if you're going to reach into taxpayers' pockets and you're going to take more money out of their pockets, they need to weigh in on that. And so I'm a very strong advocate of that 4%.
So you like the 4%. The governor came out and said 2.5%.
Yeah, he did. He did say 2.5%, and that's fine. And I think what we're doing, and I think the what we're seeing and hearing now coming out of Austin is re-examining how we do taxes. All together from top to bottom, and I know we're doing that even at the Washington level with this with the tax reform that we had at Washington. And I do want to remind folks that this cap is even though it's a reform, it won't lower your taxes. It'll just keep them from not rising without your permission.
Right.
And that's the bottom line too. I want to focus on things that will lower our taxes. The cap is great, whether it's 4 or 2 or 5. Now, 5 was what the House proposed. We can talk about those numbers.
And there'll probably be a negotiation.
And we can negotiate in those numbers. And I know the governor there at 2.5%. And all of that is good. All of those conversations are good. I want to focus on things that will actually put money back into people's pockets.
And we'll get to that here in just a second.
Sure.
If let's say in the next legislative session, you have a Senator Charles Perry or you have Dustin Burrows or John Frullo, they reach out to you and say, "Hey, will you mind coming up down here and testifying?" Mm-hmm. You had 2 county commissioners who testified against that cap in the last legislative session. How would you go and what would you say? Let's say it was at either 2.5% or 4%. How would you go down to Austin and testify, or would you?
My particular philosophy is I represent Lubbock County and the interests of Lubbock County. And I know that, and right now, I trust Senator Perry, trust Representative Burrows, Representative Frullo. If they have a bill that they need support of the Lubbock County judge, as Lubbock County Judge, I will definitely stand with them. I need to do that. That's how we represent Lubbock County. But I'm also independent enough to know that to look at those bills. Part of my job when I was working for Senator Robert Duncan, I worked in Austin with him as his legislative aide. My job was to analyze legislation, to be able to read proposed bills, to know exactly what they'll do. And there's a lot of hidden things in bills, as you know, and a lot of unintended consequences that can come out because of bills. So as Lubbock County Judge, that will be my job, to look at that legislation, proposed legislation. And if we can get behind it and it's good for Lubbock County, absolutely I'll support it. Absolutely.
How can we bring taxes down in Lubbock County?
Well, one of the things that's coming up immediately is that, a few years ago, the citizens of Lubbock County voted to sell bonds to build a new detention center. And it's a wonderful facility, and I think it's serving Lubbock County very, very well. That debt should be paid off. They say between 6 and 8 years. I think if we can do some things, we can even lower that probably to 4 to 6 years, pay that debt off, and then we fulfill the promise that was made that once that detention center is paid off, that tax rate will lower back down. And often we hear, or when any of those debts roll off, they just kind of leave the tax rate the same. And just as long as we're collecting money, we might as well just use it for something else. Absolutely not. And I will tell you, this is one of my absolute campaign promises as county judge. When that debt is paid off, that tax rate will lower.
Visiting with Curtis Parrish, candidate for Lubbock County Judge. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation. Much more to get into. We'll talk about other county issues. If you have a question, we will open up the phone lines and the text line. You can call in and you can text in your questions. Chad Hasty Show, KFYO. Chad Hasty Show, News Talk, KFYO. Curtis Parrish, Republican candidate for Lubbock County Judge in studio. Curtis, real quick, tell folks where they can get more information.
More information about me, we have a website, curtisparrishforcountyjudge.com. Also, we have a very strong and active Facebook page, and it is a lot of information comes through the Facebook and through social media. You can go to Curtis Parrish for Lubbock County Judge on your Facebook page. Just search it, find it. Give us a like and a follow, and we'll constantly be updating as we get closer and closer to this election period.
On one of the things that I've been talking about the last couple of days is on a city issue is maintenance and taking care of what we have. Is that an issue on the county side? It's
an issue for every governmental entity, including Lubbock County. We spend a lot of money building things, especially in Lubbock County. We've got a detention center, as we talked about earlier. If you do not have money set aside to maintain that, to upgrade it when necessary, just to keep it operational, it is. I think it's just negligence on the part of governments when they don't take care of that which they've been blessed with. I mean, that is prudent government. It's what you do at your own homes. Why not take that same philosophy to the governmental level? But I think a lot of times governmental entities are afraid to spend that money on there because, they're just afraid to spend money. But when we have things like roads, or we have buildings, or we have infrastructure, things like that we have in Lubbock County, it is absolutely prudent and it is fiscally conservative to keep those things maintained. Otherwise, we run into problems down the road, and we just constantly hear governments and councils and commissioners and legislators just kicking the can down the road. That has got to stop.
Do you think that Lubbock County commissioners have done a good job, or is there room to improve?
There's absolutely room to improve, especially when we're talking roads. Now, roads are a big deal in the county, and understand roads are not just for convenience. There's a public safety aspect to maintaining our county roads. There's an economic development aspect to maintaining our county roads, and there is an educational aspect to maintaining our county roads. When county roads deteriorate to a point where they cannot be traveled, every time we have like a weather day, they'll come out and say, classes are delayed by 1 hour. Buses on pavement only. You hear that constantly. That's because those county roads have deteriorated to the fact that maybe those kids can't get to school. That's an educational problem. So we need to make sure that our roads are being well maintained. And I don't mind pouring a little bit more money into maintenance, because that is the conservative and that is the fiscally sound thing to do.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because everyone who comes through here who is running either for we haven't really had a race for county judge in a while, but if they're running for county commissioner or whatever, we're going to take care of the roads. We're going to take care of the roads. And I, right as you were talking about this, we got a text message asking about county roads. Sure. and talked about how large expensive machinery can't even get into or onto the roads. And I constantly hear this from people.
Yes,
so
I do too.
How would how would you as county judge, what all would you do to fix this?
Now understand,
and you can't make everybody happy. There's a lot of roads.
No, and also the county judge, remember, is just one of 5 on the commissioner's court. It is the commissioners. It is each one of them. They have their precincts and their job. I mean, they're a well-paid job to maintain and to keep up with the condition of the roads in their precinct. The county judge is in a great position to be able to see the entire county and to provide leadership and direction to the commissioner's court. Individually, the county judge cannot pick up a hoe handle and go out and take care of that. I get that. But what the county judge can do is hold those commissioners' feet to the fire and provide leadership to them, and not just berate them and not just, slap them around, but actually to provide leadership and vision. And that is what the Lubbock County Judge can do, and that's what I'll do as Lubbock County Judge.
In your ads, and I know you brought it up earlier, your experience as an attorney, and you bring up the judicial side of being Lubbock County Judge. Let me ask you this, just I guess straight up, since you're the only attorney running in this race. If one of your other opponents who are not attorneys, if they were elected, would that position suffer because they're not attorneys?
I do believe so. The position of Lubbock County Judge is about 75% judicial. You oversee all the probates and all the guardianships and all the mental health cases. And just even in the last 20 years, probate law and guardianship law has gotten so complicated. In fact, just this last legislative session, Texas legislators added 19 new guardianship laws to the books, some of them extremely complicated. We're still trying to figure out exactly what the legislature did to us in guardianship law. But and many of these laws, and I will say the vast majority of them, are absolutely needed for us here in Texas. Guardianships and probates have gotten extremely complicated, and we need someone with that sort of an attorney experience. This is my area of practice in estate planning and probates and guardianships. And again, this position is Lubbock County Judge. And so we need somebody who can effectively shepherd these cases through. And we're talking all of them. This is the jurisdiction of the county judge. And it's not a place where these cases come in, and if you don't like it, we would just pawn it off to somebody else. This is your job as Lubbock County Judge. And so I'm asking the people to hire me to step in and to be that compassionate judge in that courtroom. And probates and guardianships are a great place for people, for a judge to be compassionate, to show that, because a lot of times they're coming to you, especially in a probate situation where a family member has passed away, and they need to kind of take care of the business. And so a judge can certainly be passionate, but the judge has to be very knowledgeable in the law and understand exactly what the law is and what is required of an executor, what's required of a guardian, and to be able to shepherd those cases, and so that we don't run into any of those problems. Do
you think the time of the meetings, that usually these meetings are in the mornings, do those need to change?
At 10 a.m.?
Yeah.
I think in general business, no. But, as special things do come up, I believe absolutely we need to be a lot more flexible in reaching out to the public. One of the things that just in this last budget cycle, I attended all the commissioner court meetings, especially for the budget hearings and things like that. And I was really disheartened to see that no one showed up to testify. Some of them were done at 10 o'clock in the morning. Some were done in the evening, and yet no one showed up. Yeah. And so what I want to do as county judge is to encourage people and to make this more open, make this process, especially of budgeting, a lot more open and transparent. Remember, Chad, I'm taking money out of your pocket, and it's money out of my pocket as well. And so we need to make sure that this process is open, it's transparent, it's fair, and that we do get the adequate input from the public, especially, again, in the budgetary process.
Have about a minute left. I'll ask you real quickly. If the Lubbock County Municipal Coliseum goes away, should the county get involved and help pay for a dirt arena?
At this juncture, I would say no. I think that there are places where even right now, but I think if the public, if Lubbock County, if the city needs a venue like that, I think they've got an adequate one right now in the Coliseum. And so I would say right now, talk to your city council members. Say, look, we need this place. Lubbock needs this place. There's no reason to build a new one because you got a perfectly good one right now.